I'm sitting here sipping on my cup of tea, reflecting on what a shift show 2026 is turning out to be. I think if we look at some of the content we've posted across our various platforms this week, we see a lot of commentary around particularly the investments. Those might be the macros or even down to portfolio construction level, where we see commentators out there talking about how the investment rules are changing, and that was from 91 earlier in the week, to how geopolitics is driving inflation, and even down to the questions around, is 60-40 still the correct or appropriate portfolio construction basis? And I think from my personal perspective, as you know, I do invest in an AI ETF, and I've been watching that number go up and down radically over the past couple of weeks. And it's really given me insight and appreciation into what our investors, are experiencing. And it's one thing to sit on the sidelines and talk about the theory, and it's a completely different experience to actually have it happen to you and your investments. So my AI ETF is giving me heart palpitations, and if that is down to my little household, I can just imagine what the investors out there are feeling as they're watching their retirement fund benefit statements, or even their statements that you've been sending them as your individual clients, watching their statements of values going up and down. I think what is interesting to me is how strong the behavioral pool is. And again, this is something that when you experience it, you get a very clear understanding or appreciation for the dilemma that our clients, be those fund members or individual investors, are in, and the experiences that they, or the feelings that they are feeling when they look at their money and how it's moving. So I'm gonna drop mine down to heart palpitations, and I'm gonna hold tight to my AI investments, and try and follow some of the sage advice that is out there. Speaking of the macros, we saw the CPI number released this week at 5%, sending my ice cream scoops crashing to the floor on my thumbnail. I think when we saw that, the fear was that there would be an immediate reaction from the SARB, and that's through their Monetary Policy Committee, changing interest rates to try and control the South African economy. Thankfully, yesterday, the Monetary Policy Committee decided to hold rates the same, which I think is some relief to consumers out there. Obviously, a reduction in rates would have been great, but it's seemingly impossible in 2026. And so we see interest rates remain flat, which is good, I think, or best case scenario. If we look at the piece of research that we dropped on our website during the week from Debt Busters, and that's their annual money stress tracking survey. And shockingly, I mean, amongst 18,000 respondents, 72% admitted that they are experiencing money stress. And money stress leads to other stresses. And so a hold of interest rates will hopefully give those households out there a little bit of relief, or at least avoid an increase in debt payments that, quite frankly, the South African households simply can't accommodate right now. And talking about money stresses, those have proven to have an impact on well-being. And that's another thing that we at EBNet are interested and very intentional about bringing to you, and that is a rounded conversation around employee benefits and around benefits and savings in general. Now, the market's calling this integrated advice. I don't know if integrated advice is the right word. In fact, in one of my newsletters, I said, what is integrated advice anyway? Because I'm not sure that we've kind of fully fleshed or built that out yet as an idea. But we started on our journey and started with some of our very bespoke podcast series dealing with the issues that are emerging that round out your ability or your consulting conversation.
Hi, you pals. Greetings from Sammy. EBNet is proud to bring you top quality content from experts across the financial services industry in South Africa and internationally for free. Your support helps us in doing this. All we ask that you subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button below. Share this video with others you think will benefit from it. And give us a thumbs up if you are enjoying the content. That way you help us help you. Thank you from the team at EBNet. For more great content, please visit www.ebnet.co.za. Ciao, ciao, and bye-bye.
This week, we dropped the first episode of Health Hack SA, and this is designed to equip you to understand your medical aid and to understand the medical and healthcare industry and landscape in South Africa. This series will run until the end of the year, culminating in guiding you or giving you the tools to make an informed medical aid plan choice when that time does arrive at November or towards the end of the year. So Health Hack SA, go and check it out. It's on www.ebnet.co.za, and feel free to share it with your family and friends. This is a conversation I know that many of us are having around the table, and we kind of feel that we pay all this money for our healthcare premiums only to be left with a copay at a pharmacy or at a doctor's counter, or to be told that the procedure or the drugs or medications that we and our children need are not covered. And I think it's important to surface some of these reasons for this and explain to individuals out there how their medical aids work. So Health Hack SA. Talking about advice and retirement benefits, this week's episode of Industry Insights was with Anna Shiriak, who is the head of product solutions at the Sanlam Umbrella Fund. And she took us through the trends that this year's 2026 Sanlam Benchmark Survey revealed when it comes to retirement funds. Now, one of those things was around the need for financial advice, and Sanlam identifying that the age of 35 is the sweet spot that individuals in their retirement funds or even in their working careers are looking to start thinking about planning for their retirement. It's a great episode, and it talks to the Sanlam Benchmark Survey, where we are looking at this idea of a holistic picture of an individual's, let's call it REM, let's call it benefits, but really encompassing retirement benefits, medical coverage, risk benefits like for the what if scenarios, funeral cover, death claims, or death cover, and disability cover. So Anna giving us a great update on what is happening there. The big webinar this week that we held was with National Treasury, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, together with key role players in the industry or representatives from key role players in the industry discussing unclaimed benefits. Now, when you're sitting in a country where 72% of people are saying they feel financially stressed, that leads to wellness pressures, etc. And we know that we're sitting, I don't want to call it on a pile of cash, but we're sitting on unclaimed benefits in our country amounting to around 90 billion, and in retirement funds just under 50 billion. It was a very important conversation. The recording of that conversation is on our website. That is at, again, www.ebnet.co.za. Go and check that out, and you will hear the latest thinking from particularly National Treasury and the FSCA on what we can expect to see over the coming months and years in terms of let's call it an intentional effort to move the needle and to reconnect South Africans with this money that is sitting, let's call it lying dormant. Now, it may not be a reconnection as in money paid into your bank account. It may be a reconnection through an investment strategy that uplifts the community around them. And you can go and check that out. I don't want to spoiler alert it. You can go and check that out and hear what the latest thinking is. Our webinars are there to surface some of the great conversations that are out there and to give you credible information. And on the 12th of August, we'll be hosting our next webinar called The Great Green Hoax. Now, this is a phrase that you know who in the US mentioned or used when talking about climate change. And so is climate change a thing? And it goes beyond that to say, if climate change is a thing, or if it's not, what is the role of decision makers, asset owners out there when it comes to the investments that they are making and the impact of those on the environment. It also will look into the role of advisors around these assets and unpack, much like the unclaimed benefits conversation, both the legal position, but then also the moral and ethical positions around that. That's going to be a great conversation. As I say, 12 August at 9 a.m. Go and register on our website. We will also be hosting some interesting Women's Day conversations, and I'm looking forward to surfacing some of those. And just to give you a teaser, in August we'll be launching a new podcast series as well around what is this thing, integrated benefits or integrated advice. So some good things on EBNet right now, and some great things to look forward to in the very near future. And go and check out Health Hacks. Go share it with your family. Follow us on our socials, and we will keep you up to date on the conversation in the country as it relates to your money. Until next Friday, I'll see you then.